The region confronts gender violence
and human trafficking.
Plus, is HIV messaging heard?
From across the Caribbean.
This is Live Up the Show.
Welcome to our final Live Up the Show for this, our 7th season.
And thank you so much to our donor sponsors, the Maria Holder Memorial Trust. They've made it possible for us to be here with you throughout the year. And remember, if you've missed any of the episodes, you can find the last 2 seasons by searching for I Live Up campaign on YouTube.
And of course, a special thank you to the CBMP partner stations across the region who air Live Up the Show and other important messages as their contribution to a healthier, happier Caribbean people.
Amen. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Sharing our stories, our successes, our failures. It helps us grow as people. This season, our focus has been on very important social issues: human trafficking, gender-based violence, HIV, and most at-risk populations. And as our awareness grows, we realize that media everywhere is focusing on these issues.
Yes, that's exactly right, guys. It's as if there's a growing understanding of what defines a civilized society, and it's one that has absolutely no place for slavery, brutality, stigma, or discrimination.
It's incredible to think that violence against women and children, especially, was considered something to be hidden or ignored, which of course has just perpetuated the cycle. Recently, the Jamaica Youth Theatre, remember them, Reagan?
Yeah.
Their catchy video, We Love We Self, won the YouTube competition we sponsored with PSI. Well, now they've won a worldwide video challenge aimed at preventing violence against women. News of their triumph came from Global Dialogues, a United Kingdom registered charity that says it promotes global public health and societal well-being through integrated youth-driven solutions fueled by creativity and multidisciplinary partnership. Easy for me to say. Here's the winning short film from our own Caribbean young people, JYT. Great to see Caribbean creativity recognized globally, and smart of Jamaica Youth Theatre, right, to do the film totally without dialogue, and that way it reaches out to everyone.
Yes.
Now we bring you excerpts from a film made possible by the British High Commission Bridgetown and the US Embassy Bridgetown that focuses on human trafficking.
Almost 180 years ago, slavery was abolished in the Caribbean. In Barbados, Bussa, the leader of a slave rebellion, remains the strong symbol of the right to live freely and against the dangers of victimization. Barbadians know what human trafficking is, but Is it a problem in Barbados?
Right here in this country, I think there was a few arrests for human trafficking. So I don't think any country at all is being spared where this crime is concerned.
I don't think so, but if there is any, it's very low key. You know, I think it's affecting the more much bigger countries, the more like Europe and the US and so forth. But I don't think being here in the Caribbean has been like a significant target.
It definitely does happen in the Caribbean. I mean, there are cases, especially when you have sex workers, that actually there was a recent case in Barbados with someone being held for withholding documents of the women that are working in those brothels.
World profits from all forced commercial sexual exploitation amount to $33.9 billion.
Number one is greed. People want money, and people find every way possible to make money. And human trafficking of unsuspecting people is one of the many ways that people can make money.
Trafficking occurs in a variety of exploitative forms, such as forced labor, domestic servitude, and sex exploitation. These are believed to be the most common manifestations in the Caribbean. However, sex exploitation seems to be the most predominant form.
A lot of people probably know it's happening. They're taking advantage of people, but they won't say anything. I don't know anybody personally, but I know it's happening.
Well, 2 months ago we had a case in Barbados where it happened, so it's happening in Barbados too.
It means there is a problem. One arrest is too much for such an offense.
The scale of the problem in the Caribbean has not been properly estimated, but the United Nations Caribbean Human Development Report 2012 states, trafficking appears to have become a particular problem in some countries in the region.
I think the media play a very important role. I believe what you're doing right now is of vast importance. Once that is being seen, it's like anything. If somebody sees something regular enough, they start to believe it. My take on it is that you use the media over and over, and when somebody have a friend or somebody where you hit home, then you start to realize, hey, we can do something about it.
Another way we can go about this thing is like trying to raise the awareness in the community. Try and do some sort of thing in the community, because you got neighbors that are concerned that is going on next door to them. If you can get to them neighbors in a more discreet manner, maybe you can stamp out some of this stuff.
Also to education, because I don't think a lot of us realize or recognize human trafficking. And when it's happening, even in front of you, I mean, most people might even go and enjoy a brothel. They don't understand that this woman is not always there on her own free will.
For me, for instance, I know about it through the media, not necessarily through education. I don't think I've learned about it through school, but through the media, I've been able to grasp, I have an idea what human trafficking is. So I don't think that we in the Caribbean have like the grasp knowledge as to what human trafficking is.
If you recognize human trafficking taking place, do the right thing, and don't stand by silently whilst victims of this modern slavery suffer.
It's not necessarily the easiest thing to deal with, but you can start somewhere.
Stop the human trafficking. It is inhumane. Stop the human trafficking.
In a world where transparency is so underrated, you can't believe that it makes sense to tell the truth about what you see. And when the pressure to fit in is strong, and when you feel the need to belong, sometimes you can get caught up in doing what is wrong.
And so you say what you want, and you do as you please, and you don't think twice, cause it's all about me. And you turn a blind eye, then you turn a deaf ear, then you're wondering why we're living in a fear. It ain't easy, it ain't fair. You gotta right the wrong, oh, you gotta care.
Take note of the slogan, no witness, no justice. That means speak out.
And the music? The Caribbean's own Cover Drive.
Part of living is going out and making good informed decisions. This is the most powerful defense, in my mind, of our generation. We have a serious problem with AIDS. We have a serious problem with a lot of things that young people are dealing with. But we have to be the one that create the social movement that change it. We have to be the change agent we're looking for. Remember, live up, love, protect, respect.
Live up, shout, live up, shout.
There are many routes to HIV exposure. Drugs, alcohol, and heat of the moment are all cited as reasons for unprotected sex. So we asked you, do you think that HIV messaging is resonating with young people?
I'm a young person myself, and I tend to have conversations with persons my age or just older or just underneath. And most of them are getting the messages. But in my opinion, messages and taking in them and using it to change your behavior are two completely different things.
I speak on behalf of the Guild students at the Capefield campus, and I tend to be the voice for the younger generation on campus, even though we do have older folks. And from what I can see on the ground, a lot of persons, while they do receive the message, and they see the messages all over the place, they're not processing this message on a daily basis. And so I see persons, they go out to parties and what's not, and they get into certain situations or acts when the night comes, and they're not thinking about the repercussions of these things.
Unfortunately, I don't think that the HIV message is resonating with young people. I think that we need to incorporate more technology and open more forums that young people are hosting or people of the younger generation can go to.
I don't think that HIV is really resonating with audiences. Like I said before, if they're not really interested or if it doesn't affect them directly, they tend to not be interested in getting education or learning anything about the specific topic. And I think that that's wrong. I think that everyone should really be unified in HIV because it's really a very big illness and is also transmitted sexually, so
I think a lot of HIV and AIDS awareness messages are being sent out, but there could be a possibility now that people it's like you heard about it already and you think so you become complacent. So I think it's the push to raise awareness should never stop. It should continuously be being pushed and being on the forefront because it's a real issue in the region particularly.
The message that I get from those answers, Alex, is that we have to keep putting the HIV messaging out there.
And as each new generation becomes sexually active, they need the information to keep them safe. We can't just hand the responsibility totally to parents and teachers. Society has to step up too. We have to make sure that misinformation isn't spread and that the facts are readily available.
Information is so important for every aspect of life. Making an informed decision can mean, well, the difference between life and death, literally.
And that's certainly true for anyone in the situation we focus on next, gender violence.
So many benefits when we just support our own.
Each year, the Barbados Government Information Service hosts a charity concert called Love Poetry and Song, organized by its internal HIV Education Committee. Most people are familiar with the concert because it obtains funds and food items for the HIV food bank. What many people don't know is that behind the scenes and before the show even starts, the participating entertainers are sensitized about HIV and AIDS and social issues such as gender-based violence. Coming out of this workshop, Adrian Green, Bobo, Simon Pipe and C4 wrote and sang the theme song to address these issues.
One love, one hope. One life, one love, one hope.
I was so vexed, my mind, the veins in my neck was pumping blood harder than even my brain could collect. But I had to stop and collect myself, train, just check myself. Bobo tell me plain, respect her and respect yourself.
An all-male lineup was deliberate, as men can and should play a critical role in the fight against HIV and AIDS and gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence differs from just general violence. It's a very specific type of violence that's perpetrated on the basis of ideas we have about gender, who's in charge, who's supposed to be dominant, who's supposed to be aggressive, versus who's subordinate, who's supposed to be submissive.
How does that differ from domestic abuse?
Domestic abuse is a subset of gender-based violence. Abuse is a pattern of power and control, where one partner sees themselves as having ownership, a legitimate, in their mind, ownership, and is perpetrated often over time. And this is different from just an argument or a misunderstanding, because an argument or a misunderstanding could be about anything, whereas abuse is about subordination.
Artiste Bobo believes that men have a huge part to play in the fight against gender-based violence, and specifically against domestic abuse.
We can take a firm stance against it, a firm positive stance against it. And I think the other prong is we can play a brotherhood role, and that's a gentle stance whereby we help our brothers in times of conflict. Sometimes we know, before something happens, sometimes your brother might be sitting next to you and he might tell you, "Mom, when she get home," or you know what I'm saying, or make reference to certain things, or make reference to the problem he's going through or encountering at the period in time. I think that other end that we as men can play a role is to gently assist in that conflict resolution, to stop it before it starts.
For the message to be delivered effectively, especially by men, Patrice Daniel believes the cultural narrative on gender needs to be broken.
I think in order to interrupt a cultural narrative, you first have to be aware of it. And the thing about a narrative is that it's so pervasive that it just kind of becomes everyday speech. So one way to interrupt it is to be more critically aware about the statements that we make about men, the statements that we make about women, and how these statements might keep a particular story about masculinity and femininity going.
While music plays an important part in this cause, Bobo also argues that men as peer leaders can be extremely powerful in effecting change.
If you want to appeal to a child, sometimes you might ask the big brother to talk to the little brother. And with men, men can relate to men, lions, So you put in lions together to say, hey, I think that from that standpoint, men add a lot greater value. No disrespect to the women, and I think both of them have to be done together. If more men had to support this cause of domestic violence, man, this thing will get eradicated very fast, very, very, very fast. I think the men are the key. That's the truth.
One life, one love, one hope. One life, one love, one hope.
We encourage more men to join the fight against gender-based violence. For Live Up the Show, I'm Shamko Pillay from the Barbados Government Information Service.
I was so vexed, my mind, the veins in my neck was pumping blood harder than my brains could collect. But I had to stop and collect myself, train, and just check myself. My brethren tell me plain, look, respect her, respect yourself.
Dot your I's and cross your T's. Don't dot her I's, don't cross her T's. Her body's not your property. Make one hope your philosophy. Any problems you can talk to me. Just trot your road responsibly. Love conquers animosity. Live up and let your motto be.
One life, one love, one hope.
One life, one love,
one life, one love, one hope.
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 When we come back, something special for the season finale.
Driving around on the public road fast is a hazard. Drinking and unprotected sex is just another example of careless and irresponsible behavior. I think it's really important for young people to try and actually be engaged in what is smart and what is right for first yourself and then others. That mutual respect needs to be nurtured. So from the surfer, love, protect, and respect. Live up.
Live up, shout, live up.
People have mentioned favourite moments to me from the past season. Your report with the transgender sex worker was one of them, Reagan. So we thought you'd enjoy a brief look back at some of the wonderful reports submitted by our dedicated Caribbean journalists.
I was raped. I was abused. I was sodomized. A lot of it I don't know about because I was drugged, and I kind of felt like I was in a haze for a lot of it. It's been about a year, and I'm pregnant now. I'm 8 months pregnant now. And I don't know who the father of the child is. And I'm scared. Because I don't know what I caught. I don't know if I have any diseases. I don't know if the child has any diseases.
All right, I've just shaved my entire face just as a first start to becoming a CSW for one night. Faith, a local CSW, gave me a chance to experience firsthand the very streets she started in.
Some of my friends invited me to go out tonight, and I see how quick the money was, how fast the money was. And sometimes people don't really come. They always tend to say sex workers or CSWs is only about sex. Sometimes we need to sit down and listen to people because people have problems at home, and their wife or the girlfriend wouldn't do that. And you make fast money, so that's what drew me to that.
I have to tell you the truth about something.
What's that?
I'm very scared.
Why you are scared?
I'm scared because I haven't heard good things about commercial sex workers or prostitutes or whores or whatever you call them. Mm-hmm. I've heard that they go out on the street, they sell their bodies, they have no morals, they have no standards, they're lower than low, they're lower than me, they're lower than the average citizen, they don't deserve respect.
Most of the sex workers that I know went to school, had their education. Some of them have a degree in different things. And most of them live like me.
Sometimes compromising will not work.
You need to say, why am I in this relationship? Is it for money? Is it for the sex? Is it for the children? You need to also assess the situation as to what will happen if I stay in this relationship. Will it be good for my children? Is it good for me?
There comes a point when you have to choose between your partner and certain death. Gender-based violence is a violation of your human rights. You're not alone. I'm Simone Absalom, reporting for the Caribbean Broadcast Media Partnership and PBC Jamaica.
The power of spoken word has ignited a new passion among Grenadian poets as they use this unique medium to raise awareness about HIV and AIDS across communities in Grenada.
She stepped out of line. She stepped out of line just one time. She made a mistake just one time. She slept without protecting her place just one time. She slept without a condom in her place just one time.
The spoken word has taken on new meaning for many in the art form thanks to the initiative by GrenAIDS. As part of the innovative youth-led community outreach program, GrenAIDS provided a two-part workshop to educate 10 young writers and poets about HIV.
It's not my fault, oh I'm innocent. I'm positive, but it's not my fault.
So Vincent, tell us the story. How did you come to know of this young man and why did he inspire you?
I was walking along White Park Road and this youngster just crossed the road and he said to me very politely, "Can you buy me something to eat? I haven't had anything to eat since yesterday." So when I pushed my hand back in the pocket to give him then $7, a Rasta guy came down the road at the same time. And he said, "Big man, what he got They no care for where you don't go along, where you going. So he started to cry again, and he said to me, it's not my fault. My mother died with AIDS, and my stepfather died by him. Not sure if he had AIDS. And with each time I speak about it, bring tears to my eyes. So from then, I've been connected.
Ahead of time. We say use a condom every time.
Turn your attention at the prevention. Access to condom distribution.
Yo, no stigma.
No discrimination.
We're taking it to zero. HIV infection.
Live up, love, protect, respect. Hear what the youth them a say.
We get tested.
We love ourselves.
We use a condom.
We protect ourselves.
We keep it safe.
We respect ourselves.
We are Caribbean youth and we embrace.
All of that and so much more. I really enjoyed spending this 7th season of Live Up the Show with you and with you, Reagan.
Oh, thanks, Alex. Me as well. Here's hoping that we are all back together sometime soon.
In the meantime, always remember, live up.
Yes.
Love, protect, respect. You got this. Now we bring you excerpts from a film made possible by the British High Commission. People have mentioned to me. So we thought you'd enjoy a brief look back at some of the wonderful reports submitted by our dedicated Caribbean journalists.
Okay.
Touch of an elephant.